Hey guys, this is Smithy. Welcome to my channel. I know, I'm barefaced because we are testing out new brushes and that too from Rephr. I purchased this set as soon as I saw that it was available, and these are the new Rephr Synthetic brushes. I have 3 and it comes in a pack of 3 and retails for $36. It is available in the concept store. I'll put the link in the description box below for you guys. But let me explain each of the brush and we'll do a full application on our face. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay, let's start off with the BO2 brush, which is the foundation brush. These doesn't seem like a synthetic brush at all. It is definitely like rounded cut, but it is very, very densely packed. It mimics like natural hair to the most. Like I literally thought that this is going to be a natural hair as soon as I arrived, and I was like, I took a double take to check if it was really synthetic or not, but they claim it to be a synthetic brush, but it is very soft, just like the natural hair brushes. So I don't see like a difference. I am comparing this to like the BK Beauty brushes because the shape definitely reminds me of that. But BK Beauty brushes are definitely more like slanted, and because of that, it just hugs the faces and the curves of the faces. This is more blunt but also rounded at the same time. So we'll see how these two like compare. I am well aware of this. I want to test this out with liquid products because we know the natural hair brushes work beautifully with powder products and synthetic is supposed to work more with like liquid products. We're going to test it out and see how it performs. The second brush which they have in their line is BO1, which is mainly their concealer brush. Again, this is more like a blunt cut but also rounded at the same time. It mimics very much the shape of the foundation brush but a lot more like smaller in size. Again, when I saw this, it reminded me of BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy, my favorite concealer brush, A506. But this is definitely, as you can see, like more slanted cut, and this is more blunt. I have another Rephr brush which mimics the shape of this. Let me get it out to you, which is that 35 brush. Now you can see it's very much the same, but 35 has longer bristles, so this can maneuver more to your like under eyes and like move the product more seamlessly is what I would see. This, because it's like a shorter length, I feel like this would be best for like spot concealing, but we'll test it out and see as compared to the Rephr brush and the BK Beauty brush how it compares. And the last brush in their line, but also this is super densely packed, like denser than their foundation brush. It's super densely packed. I feel like this, for coverage purposes, this would be amazing. And the last brush that they have in their line is BO3, which mimics their 01 brush in their line. Mine is dirty, so don't judge me for that. It mimics very much the shape of this brush, but also mine is definitely much more fluffy because I use it that much. But this, because it's synthetic, this would work with like cream shadows a lot. So again, we're going to put all of this to the test and see how it performs. So let's begin. So I have my skincare already done. I use my Merit's Great Skin Instant Glow Serum. Look at mine. I use it so much, like I'm halfway there. Okay, for the foundation, I'm going to use my Fenty Ease Drop because I feel like that's a good consistency to test out because it's not like too runny or too thick to be a foundation. I feel like this is like a perfect foundation consistency. So let's use that. I took a little bit on the back of my hand. Okay, I'm going to put it on my face with my fingers and then blend it with a brush just to allow minimum product on my face, but this is quite a bit. And then let's use this BO2 brush and then see how it performs. I feel like because of that roundedness, it will be good for buffing, but I'm gonna swipe it first and see how it performs. Yeah, it's definitely moving the product and extending the way it like moves around the skin. I cannot see any like streak marks or anything, which I mean we should not. It's a Rephr brush, and that's what we are testing out. So I'm first gonna swipe because I feel like that's working pretty well, and it is covering all the imperfections on my skin too. Not clinging to anything. That's nice. So that one pump definitely, not one pump, like one squeeze, because it's a squeezy bottle, definitely worked all across my skin, and it blended very, very nicely. Like, I didn't even go with the buffing motion, and I generally have the tendency of like buffing it like that, and it definitely can buff because of that roundedness of the brush. I really love a good rounded brush for my foundation application, because I love that buffing motion rather than like stippling. I feel like for this brush, stippling would not be as effective as compared to buffing or swiping, just because of the shape and the cut of the brush. I feel like I'm just over blending right now, and I don't need to, because it's blended very, very nicely on my skin. And I really, really love the application's extremely soft on my skin too. So I really, really like that. Okay, let's move on to the concealer, because it's giving me high hopes now. I also want to point out, because it's a synthetic brush, it's not like going all across the brush, because generally in a natural hair brush, it goes all across like the bristles, because it soaks in more product. This is definitely soaking in the product, you can see that, but not as much as a natural hair brush would. But it's not giving me like a separate feeling than a natural hair brush. It's extremely soft to the touch. So I really like that. Let's move on to the concealer. I'm going to take my Milani Conceal and Perfect Concealer. This one is in the shade 145. And I'm going to just take that underneath the eyes. I'm taking this concealer just because you know how much I love this concealer. And it is more of a thicker consistency. I want to see if that brush can move the product nicely or not. So now time for B01 brush, and let's see how that performs. I'm gonna start there. Yeah, definitely would be beautiful for concealing, like spot concealing. I can also see this like a eye primer brush. But it is extremely dense too, so it will not cover like a big amount of area at once. Yeah, it's not like maneuvering like the way BK Beauty brush maneuvers on the skin. Okay, let's do the under eyes. Yeah, extremely dense but soft. Mesh the product into my skin nicely. Definitely gives a very high coverage with the density of the brush. There you go. It didn't take much time. And it blended the product really, really nicely. Okay. Loving the way it's blending. I like the application of it. Now let's move on to like cream products on the face. Let's start off with a bronzer. Let's take the LYS bronzer because it's sitting right in front of me. And let's see. Can I do that? I'm also gonna take liquid blush afterwards. For the bronzer application, I'm going to take the same brush that we use for foundation. Again, a little product goes a long way with this brush because it is so densely packed. You don't need much. Sorry for the lighting going in and out. Very nice, very nicely applied. Okay, time for cream blush. Let's take this Glaminatrix cream blush in the shade Sunny, which is more of like a peachy blush. And I'm going to take the same brush because we want to maximize the utilization of this brush. There you go. Very nice. Blends in very, very nicely on the skin. Okay, time for some eyeshadow. So for eyeshadow, I'm thinking for cream shadow, let's dip into the Patrick Rose Dimension eyeshadow palette so that you can see everything in action. I'm going to first start off with that cream shade, the rosy cream shade here, and then apply that on my eyes. Again, it's an eyeshadow formula that I'm well aware of, and it generally wears on my eyelid for a long time. I'm not struggling with this eyeshadow formula at all. So it's definitely moving the product very nicely. I can definitely see it. Maybe with a darker shade you can see it much better. So let's dip into this, the deeper brown shade. Yeah, now you can see. I'm gonna just pat it right there and then start blending the edges. And I'm also going to take the same thing on my lower lash line too. Very pretty. And it's blending effortlessly on my skin too. Like really, really nicely. I don't see any skipping, anything with this product. I really, really like that. Okay. I'm going to take actually a powder shadow also and see. I'm going to take the middle shade. Let's see if it picks out the cream shadow also or not. Definitely picking up, but not as impactful on the eyes. Like see, it's there, but it's not there as much as I need it. Let's apply it with a liquid eyeshadow and see. I'm not going to swipe it directly. Let's take it on the back of my hand. And this is the MBA Cosmetics liquid shadow in this shade Starburst Hollow. I have it on the back of my hand. I'm going to just tilt the brush on the other side and then see. Okay. So yeah, it's applying the liquid shadow really nicely. I can definitely see the difference. So I would say, yeah, if it is more emollient and liquid, I feel like it'll apply with this brush really nicely. And it's also melting. It's not like giving a stark edge or something. But if it is more like a potted eyeshadow, depending on like the stiffness of the product, I don't think like a stiff product would work nicely with this brush as compared to a liquid shadow or like a emollient shadow. So I'm going to finish off this eye with some liner and mascara and come back with the final thoughts. And that's my final look. I really, really love these brushes, okay? But I definitely have some thoughts. Let's talk about individually all the brushes. My favorite out of the three is definitely the foundation brush. I loved the application with it. I love that you could just swipe or buff and it just melts onto the skin. I love the bristles cut. Also, obviously it is soaking in the product, but not as much. But I feel like it definitely is not like a turn out in my case at all. I really, really love that I could find a Rephr brush that could work on my face too, work with liquids specifically. I really love the way how the face makeup turned out. I'm actually traveling this weekend and I'm going to take this brush with me and use it continuously every day and see like what are my final thoughts. But on my first impression, I really, really love this brush. Let's go on to the concealer brush, which is B01. I feel like this brush would be very useful if you want coverage out of your product. I feel like for spot concealing, this would be amazing, absolutely amazing. I still prefer my BK Beauty brush underneath the eyes just because I feel like I'm not like looking for so much of coverage rather than just melting that product into the skin. I feel like this buffs it into the skin. But if this cut can be a little bit more on like a slanter side, I feel like it would maneuver everywhere. But this definitely, again, the purpose of this I would use is like for spot concealing my scars or like imperfections on my skin. I feel like this would give a great amount of coverage. But again, I can use this as a concealer brush like without a doubt. The next brush is BO3, which is my least favorite out of the lot. It works beautifully with the cream products on the eyes. For shimmer application, I feel like it can only pick up a certain amount of formula. If it is a liquid shadow, as you saw, like it definitely does apply it, but doesn't give like that much of impact on the eyes as I would like swipe that product on myself, or if I would have applied it with like a sponge applicator or like with my fingers. But also you saw me like apply that with like powder shadows, and it doesn't pick up the powders very nicely. Now again, can I make it work? Definitely. If I pick up a powder shadow and then spray it with a setting spray or like anything, I definitely would be able to like push it onto my skin. If I put like a sticky primer, that would definitely help with that too. But out of the lot, I feel like this is my least favorite, just because I would have preferred if this brush would have been a little bit more on the thicker side, especially if you are working with liquids. I feel like it doesn't need to be flimsy, and this was a lot more flimsier as compared to the rest of the brushes. And these two brushes were definitely my favorite. My favorite was this brush. But no matter what, for $36, I feel like that's a great deal. But if they bring out the brushes separately, my preference would definitely be the foundation brush. So that's what I feel about these Rephr synthetic brushes that came in the market. If you did like this video, you know what to do. Are you picking out this set right now in the concept store or not? I'll leave the link in the description box below for you guys. But that's all for today, guys. If you did like this video, you know what to do. Do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring the notification bell so that you're notified every time that I post next. I generally upload 3 videos every single week, every Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays at 9 AM Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.